Dear students, now we are going to discuss the ER model. What is the full form of ER? Entity relationship model or entity relational model. Basically, this model is for designing purpose, as we have discussed in the previous video of database designing. So in this model, E stands for entities. So what is entity? We are going to discuss. It is a collection of objects. What is entities? It is a collection of objects. An entity is an object that is distinguishable from other objects by a set of attributes. Means it should be distinguishable on the basis of some kind of features or attribute. Those features are known as attribute technically. This is the basic object of ER model, which is a thing in the real world with an independent existence. So this is the basically for, ER model, very important thing. And entity may be an object with a physical existence. Entity must have the physical existence, means it should be touchable, it should have the proper attribute, it should have the proper structure. Entity can be represented by ellipse. So when we draw a ER diagram, then it is represented by a ellipse. Okay, so examples of entities are customer, account. These are the entities. Okay, once features, the customers are having features, account is having some features on which we are putting some information. So this is all about the entity. Okay, now the attributes. Attribute means the features of entities, as we have told in previous slide. Characteristics of an entity is called or are called an attribute. The properties of a particular entity are called as attribute of that specified entities. For example, name, street, address, city, these are the attributes of a customer. Okay, account number, balance, these are the features of any account in a database. So on the basis of different things, we can classify the attributes. Now the attributes are of simple attributes, composite attributes, single valued attribute, multi-value attribute, stored attribute, derived attribute. On the basis of different features, we can say these are the categories of the attribute: simple attribute, composite attribute, single valued attribute, multi-valued attribute, stored attribute, and derived attribute. Okay, so uh, simple attribute means which can't further divided, like first name, last name, middle name. Composite attribute, it can be divided, like name, it can be divided into first name, middle name, and last name. Single value, the attribute which is having single value. Multiple valued, like phone numbers. Multiple valued, a person can have two phone numbers of his home and mobile number. Stored attribute means which can be already values are stored in the database. Derived attributes, derived means from any different, the values are can be derived from the values of different attributes. Okay, like age can be derived from the date of birth, we can say. Job, tenure of job, experience, we can get it from the joining of the that particular employee in that organization. Now the simple attribute, the attribute that are not divisible are called as simple, as we have discussed earlier. Now composite attribute. Composite attribute, the attribute that can be divided into smaller subparts which represent more basic attributes with independent meaning, like street, address. Address is an attribute, but street, apartment number, street address, city, state, zip, this can be, we can divide the address. Single valued attribute, the attribute having a single value for a particular entity is called single value, like age. Now the multi-valued attribute. Multi-valued attribute, the attribute which are having a set of values for the same entity are called multi-valued attribute. As I have told about the phone number. Now, now derived attribute. Derived attribute, a attribute which is derived from another attribute is called derived attribute, like age. Stored attribute, attribute which is not derived from another attribute is called a stored attribute, like date. Okay, means there is no interdependency. Okay, now after this discussion, types of attribute, the entity set. Entity type. A collection of entities that have same attribute is called an entity type. Each entity type is described by its name and attribute. Entity set. Collection of all entities of a particular entity type is in the database at any point of time is called entity set. The entity set is usually referred to using the same name as entity type. The entity type is represented in ER diagram as a rectangular box enclosing the entity type name. For example, collection of customer, it is the entity set, and a customer, it is an entity type. But collection of a customer, we can say entity type. Okay. Now the relationship. Relationship, it is an association among entities. Means when we correlate a single entity or entity set with another entity set, then it is known as relationship. So relationship set, it is a collection of relationships. It is a collection of relationships. Primary key, the attribute which can be used to identify the information from the tables, that is known as primary key. Weak entity. Weak entity can be identified uniquely by considering some of the attributes in conjunction with the primary key. Means it is having interdependency with the primary key, and along with that interdependency, if it is performing the unique identification, then it is known as weak entity. Now the different symbols which we are using in the ER model. Rectangular. Rectangle is for entity. Ellipse is for attribute. This dot dot this single line is for showing the relationship among the different entities. Diamond, it is showing again the relationship. Means lines are showing the association. Okay. Now the uh, underline ellipse. Underline ellipse is showing the primary key. Double line ellipse, it is showing the multi-valued attribute. Okay, multi-valued attribute. Dotted ellipse, it is showing the derived attribute. Double lined rectangle, it is showing the entity shape, entity set. Double lined diamond, it is showing the entity relationship, identifying relationship. Okay, double lined ellipse. Now the entity set having a primary key means this is the entity, this is the attribute, and if you underline it, this is showing the primary key. Cylinder, it is showing the hard disk or database. Curved inside rectangle, it is the end user when we use the database. Okay. Now the um, how we can draw a diagram. So this is an one entity, that is the customer, that is the another entity, account. These are the attribute of customer, and these are the attribute of account. Name, street, city are the attributes of customer. Account number, balance is the attribute of account, and both are sharing the relationship customer account by these links. Okay. So this is basically a ER model for two entities having different attributes. Now um, now the descriptive attribute. A relationship can have also some attributes which are called descriptive attributes. So descriptive attributes means a relationship having the attribute is a descriptive attribute. So this is another concept in relational model. Instance. An instance of a Relationship set is a set of